Welcome to the reading room. Well, you do like to keep me busy. I've been reading your work and I am just flabbergasted. The quality seems to be improving every time we meet. I know I call you my writing apprentices, but actually, well, you're doing very well indeed. There has been a lot of celebrations today, and Mrs. C asked you to do 3 very tricky things today, actually. I'm just going to remind you of some of the things I was looking out for, the writing challenges. I asked you if you could construct a complex sentence, beginning with a conjunction or a phrase. And my goodness, you could. There was lots of when structures, and as you listen to the story today, I want you to see if you can hear some of the range of choices. Really well done with complex sentence. The other thing I asked you to do was gather a pair of same sounding alliterative words and snuggle them next to each other and get some rhythm going in your writing. There were some gorgeous examples of that, and some of you have been chosen on account of that stickability with sound. And of course, the other thing I was looking out for was a how ly adverb that can move about in a clause, and there were some great choices. I'm now going to run down the people. I'm going to say people, because sometimes we have adult submissions too, who have made it today into the nation's story. So here is the roll call of today's winners. Eliza, you're 9 and you wrote chunk 1. Thank you, Dan Edge, for sending her work in. Mr. Shackleton from Resdeedale Primary, I hope I've said that correctly, you submitted Summer's work and it was superb, and she's 9 and she's made it into the nation's story, writing chunk 2. We then had a family contribution from Harry and Name Godwin, who are 10 and 7. Thank you, you wrote chunk 3. Now, the most impressive piece, actually, I loved your presentation. Sam Cotroft, you're a first timer and you wrote on a big board like Mrs. C. You're 5 years old, and a little bird told me that you're 6 on Thursday. Like 6 is the best age ever. Fraser and Kristen, another little team effort there. Thank you. Helena Jones, you're 8 years old. You're coming in at chunk 6. Ariza Mustang, you wrote chunk 10. Chunk 7. I'm getting ages and chunks all mixed together. Oh, Mrs. C and numbers. It's a good job I'm not your maths teacher. William Carney, you wrote chunk 8 and you're 10 years old. And Katie Carruthers, thank you, Katie. Boom, 16 years old in my Supercentres classroom taking part. I love the spread of ages today. We've got 5-year-olds, 16-year-olds, birthdays, and every age in between. Are you ready? I know I am. This is brilliant. Thank you, Super Sentence Stackers. Kitbull. Kit scurried silently through the busy streets, winding and weaving her way to safety, taking great care not to drop her fish. She needed to find a quiet place to eat and rest. Kit spied a fence with a hole just big enough for her to squeeze through, and as soon as she was on the other side, she sprinted into the long, luscious grass. She clambered over another fence and searched for safety. And when Kit spotted a box, she sped towards it, scaring birds on the way. And finally she curled up next to a pink soft toy elephant in a box, purred contentedly, and she left her fish beside her. Now that she was safe, she could finally sleep, and she did. She lay down on her soft pink pillow, ready to devour her lovely meal. And she awoke to a burning light and roaring machines filling the cold, wintry air. She jumped. Who was that? She thought immediately, hiding under a pink elephant toy to protect herself. She peered through a small hole in her box to encounter two men dragging a dog roughly along to a battered old kennel. As morning rose and Kit woke up, she peered cautiously through her box to find a big, drooling mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth. It sniffed, but Kit did not like it and decided to throw out a sharp claw. It ran back curiously, but Kit did not want him near her and bounced to scare the dog away. And now that Kit had scared him, he barked in distress, which alerted the treacherous owner, who barged in. Kit ran back to her cosy cardboard home and watched Bull being collared with a big heavy chain and dragged into his old battered kennel. Bull tried to go inside to the warmth, but all he got was a slammed door in his face. As soon as the noises had stopped, Kit peered through the top of the old brown box. She knocked the dirty plastic bottle on the floor with a thump, and the orange bottle top tumbled and twisted before finally falling still. After a few seconds of waiting, Kit decided to play inquisitively with her new toy. She scuttled and scampered with her precious toy, playing a made-up game when, accidentally, she flicked it over the curly claw like barbed wire towards the sad, chained-up Bull. He gently flicked it back, wanting desperately to play a passing game with the playful cat. A thundering jet flew overhead, putting an end to their new-found fun. After an hour, Kit peeped out of the box. She heard a growl and saw a tall man wearing protective goggles and gloves. Bull sank his teeth into the bear and ripped its head off. The body of the broken blue bear was on the ground and Kit was horrified. Will he hurt me? Later that night, as heavy rain poured down, the man opened the door furiously. He kicked Bull down the stairs. Limping and squealing, Bull walked slowly back up the steps. Lights burst through the billowing black clouds, erupting with lightning. The two new friends crumbled into pieces. Bull's legs shook beneath him like jelly, and Kit leapt back frantically, frightened, her claws sharp, her hair spiked like a hedgehog. A taste of fear welled up in Bill's throat, choking him like his heavy metal chain collar. Kit glanced back at the deserted pile of rubbish, wondering if there was any chance or anywhere to hide. It was no use. Bull was much too big, and as the old barn door rattled to alert them of danger, a ray of hope shone down on a possible way out. Could the two friends avoid his brutal, beating hands? As soon as the small see-through raindrops stopped pitter-pattering, Kit sprung off the smelly, unwanted pile of junk to go and check on Bull. She discovered the orange object again that was lying hopelessly on the wet, soggy ground. She was curious and very tempted, and she pushed it and she poked it and she flicked it and she flung it in the direction of Bull's kennel. Kit's paws were bouncing on the floor, and then she leapt into his home and skidded across the wood. Injured Bull growled painfully, not wanting Kit to come any closer. And as she turned to leave, she paused. Turning in the direction of Bull, she took notice of his raw, ruptured skin. Poor Bull. As soon as her eyes met Bull's skin, she stepped forward and began to lick his wounds affectionately. Lovingly, she cuddled next to her new friend, and Bull thumped his tail to show Kit how much he appreciated to have her as a friend. They both closed their eyes, cherishing this moment, the moment where a special connection had been made. The lights were coming back on. They frantically scanned the messy, hazardous junkyard for an easy escape route. Kit was familiar with the climb, so she did it speedily, but Bill was teetering and tipping, falling and flailing and clinging and clambering. And if that wasn't enough, the door was now rattling. Faster, Bull, faster. You must go now with Kit or never, or be stuck with that nasty human forever. Go on, Bull, put your old life behind you, be free. And with one mighty effort, he hurled himself over the fence and was safe at last. Oh. And now that Bull was free from the torment of the chains and the neglect of his guardian, he hoped for happiness with his newfound friend. And together, on their new adventure, they played perfectly, pouncing and pawing at each other. And timidly, Kit approached a tall, slim lady who had kindly put some mouth-watering tuna on the ground for them. Kit looked back at her friend Bull, who was now apprehensively approaching them. Nervously, the lady jumped up and retreated, but Kit reassured her of Bull's presence by circling and brushing him up against his body. And as Bull sheepishly looked at the lady, she glanced right into his sorrowful eyes. And from that moment on, the rest is history. Well, super sentence stackers, every day the wonder of your words fills my life with such joy. You're just brilliant at this, and every day you're getting better. Congratulations if you made it into the nation's story. You really are a stunning writer. I want to now ask you to perhaps read a book tonight, and while you're reading, notice the words, notice the positive words, notice the negative words. Reading is a great activity to word collect, and the more word collecting you do, the better your writing becomes. Okay, super sentence stackers, that's it for today, and I will see you tomorrow, bright, fresh, and ready for writing in the Super Sentence Stackers classroom. Our film tomorrow is called The Small Shoemaker. I'll see you tomorrow at 9:45. Goodbye.